Hi everyone, welcome. We're down in my wormery, preparing to check in on a bin of worms I refer to as my mixed red worms. So there's an assortment of different worms living in this system, and the system's right down here, covered in paper, just like a good many other systems are covered in paper now. It was just during the last check-in 15 days ago that this system got switched over from plastic coverings to paper to possibly let it dry off a little bit. It's been a trend going on down here. So the mixed red worms, 15 days since the last check-in, and as you can see, following tradition, we always put the diagram in there that shows what they've been getting fed, and we got a nice refresher, a replacement showing today's hot menu item, asparagus. So we're going to get the system up on the bench, and we're going to get it fed. Let's get to work. So the asparagus going in today is on this side of the diagram to show that this is the side that we're going to be feeding on, but it also means that the previous feeding number 17, 18, all right, I already found a typo. That should be 19 right there. So either way, you get the idea. Sometimes I just don't take the care to document everything correctly, but here you can see that this is feeding number 19. This is 15 days is the longest interval that we've done between feedings so far in this system. So hopefully that nice big batch of radish leaves they got back here 15 days ago is still holding up for them. We'll take a peek at how that's coming along, but we're not here to help with that too much. They'll eventually eat it. This is going to become just bedding along with the feeding, so I'll set it off to the side. But you can see it's pretty much the same diagram minus the updates to all the numbers based on the passage of time and the latest entry, which is in need of a typo fix there. These are the seed. This right here is half of a seed of avocado. It kind of chips away around the edges, but it doesn't feel like it wants to break in half. So the edges are softening up, but the inner core of it just needs a little bit longer before it softens up. And normally, if you handle one of those things, you'll know it's like handling a rock. It's so hard, you know. So let's just pick through here. This is not part of the last feeding. This gourd has been in here for quite some time. In fact, well, that's the whole idea of our diagram. We should be able to look back there. That feeding 12 87 days ago was the gourd, along with avocado, at which point, you know, there might have been other slow composting things added. But one thing I really wouldn't expect to find 15 days later is radish leaves. So that last feeding was clearly not meant to show a lot of leftovers. It's probably something we'll see pretty much no leftovers of after more than 2 weeks. I could see avocado, shell. This might be more similar stuff. So all kinds of leftovers. The key being that definitely no leftovers of the last feeding. And still a good many worms hanging out here. Must have really enjoyed that last feeding. But why don't we leave these little guys to continue with what they were doing down in here. And all these bits and pieces of stuff that belongs with this feeding. Alright, that's kind of me helping there. Putting the feeding zone indicator, the old one, down there. Or do we need it? I don't have coffee today. Perhaps we do need to actually recycle this and use it as, once again, as our feeding zone indicator, even though it's really mangled. Since I don't have coffee to feed today. But let's see. Anything else that was old food that we bumped into along the way could certainly go down. The paper coverings, you know, the surface of the bin gets a little bit dry, so if you want things to be progressing, they need to be in a spot where there's dampness. Otherwise the worms aren't going there to work on your stuff. They're going to seek out more damp and comfortable places to go hang out. So besides the old diagram, besides some napkins, I got a couple other things. I got my prepared bedding here too. And even though certain things in here look pretty large and intact, like this stem of Brussels sprout, this thing's been in here for some time. Let's even get a read on this one too. How long has the Brussels sprout been? Almost 100 days, 97 days. It was feeding 11. And the worms are enjoying it. They always somehow like getting into things, crawling into hollow objects. What else do we have down here? This is the stem of a pumpkin. I could already tell right away just from touching it. And other odds and ends we'll probably bump into as we make space for today's feeding. Here's 2 pumpkin stems. I think as recently as a couple feedings ago, we were still trying to distinguish the younger one from the older one because they went in at different times. I was not feeling like you could really tell much of a difference anymore. They've both been in the bin for quite some time now. So let's that too I think is maybe the stem of a little tiny pumpkin or something else. I don't know, but those are the leftovers that we expect that we're going to see pretty regularly coming back because they're just really slow going kind of foods. So the old diagram, here's my prepared bedding. I'll take some of this seasoned bit over here, and then at some point some of this more recently prepared stuff will look a little bit more broken in, but it's still kind of fresh. Just prepared it a few days ago, so that's a lot of bedding there, isn't it? But you know what? I'm just starting to get the feeling like I've been kind of stingy on the bedding in a lot of my systems, so I'd like to try to change that and be a little bit more generous with this stuff. That's about half of these asparagus, and I think I got this old coffee filter here. In fact, this old coffee filter seems like it's in better shape than the one we've been using. So we'll swap that out, and that'll become our feeding zone indicator. Here's some more paper. Do I have anything else like that? You know, before we drop in the rest of the yummy veggies, I've got pulverized eggshell, which the worms can make use of as grit. I'm sure they'll enjoy that. And then that's the last of what we came down here to feed them. It's a pretty good size feeding. I've got a feeling they're going to like this stuff, and this stuff should be interesting too because it's very strandy and fibrous along its length, and the worms are always able to nibble down the softer bits of the asparagus, but the tough fibrous stuff takes them a little longer. So this stuff will definitely be around as leftovers for a little while. I think this is the stem of a pepper. Always bumping into little odds and ends that the worms are still working on. And they seem like they're doing a pretty good job in here. My prepared bedding does come moistened, so it's damp. It's prepared wet, and it's stored wet. So that, along with whatever juices are coming along for the ride as part of the vegetable matter, are all probably going to help with a little bit of hydration here. At least down low on the surface, it is fair to expect that things are just going to keep getting drier. In fact, this piece of paper might be in such good shape next time that we could just update a few of the bits of info on it and actually save ourselves printing a fresh one next time. We'll have to see, because with paper coverings, the stuff out here on the surface just doesn't see the type of wear it would if there was a plastic covering, kind of forcing the recirculation of moisture and creating a nice damp space on the surface. But you know, sometimes you just want to see things a little bit drier. So that's it for the check-in, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. That's always really appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's very much appreciated as well. All right, everyone, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye now.